Green Street Films, a New York production company responsible for critically acclaimed films like In the Bedroom and A Prairie Home Companion, has been in business for over a decade. If the film business was tough before the recession for an independent film company with a dozen projects on its plate at any given time, the current economic crisis has prompted some real soul-searching. Green Street's founder and co-president, John Pinotti, started as a production assistant for the legendary Sidney Lumet, after he decided he didn't want to be a doctor. I headed over to Pinotti's office in Tribeca to learn how Green Street was doing in these challenging times, and maybe to pitch my sci-fi thriller screwball comedy rock opera. Well, here we are at Green Street Films. It's my one big chance. Hope I get it.
I'm John Pinotti. I run a film company called Green Street Films. We develop and finance and produce independent films. We oversee all aspects of the company, from acquisitions of new material, to creative development of those material, to the financing plans for those films.
What is your day like? What do you do?
We're shooting a film tomorrow that Naomi Watts and Liev Schreiber are starring in. I'll be there at 7 a.m. as the crew comes in. We'll set up the day of shooting. The crew will execute that. I'll be on set all day, running my other business, normally from a phone or a broadband connection, or my BlackBerry, and hopefully seamless between being in the office and on the set.
Is that your favorite part of the job now, like being on set, making it happen?
I absolutely love shooting. Love it. Love physical production. I love figuring out the logistics of how to actually execute a day of shooting. Love it. Best part. Having in college studied pre-med and worked a lot in sciences, my mind has always been set up as kind of a scientist, figuring things out from its core and breaking them down and building them up again. And I think in filmmaking I found an analogous career to do that in, although at least in this, hopefully at the end of the day nobody dies. Where in medicine you can't really be sure.
No one's died.
So, no one's died yet.
Is it the best of times or worst of times for the film industry?
One viewpoint is that theatrical attendance is up and that people are still very much enjoying the theatrical experience, and every weekend there is another big story on some other movie event that has kind of galvanized interest. As you burrow your way down into how movies are really made outside of the studio system, the story gets a little bit more interesting. For sure, the independent film sector has been experiencing a downward trend in the theatrical distribution options. So while there is still, we believe and hope and think we're right, that there's really still an appetite for independently spirited and minded films, they're potentially more challenging to make now because the distribution opportunities are not as apparent as maybe they once were 5 years ago, even 10, 15 years ago.
How has the recession affected the film industry?
Well, when you make a movie, in many instances, you're just praying there's going to be somebody out there is going to want to watch, and quite frankly, someone out there is going to want to buy your film. And the way you hedge that is, in the midst of making the movie, you will start selling off rights to it even before the film is done. And there's been many instances where we have made a film without pre-selling any rights, and the film turns out well. We sell the film and it's something everybody wants to buy. The problem with that method now is even if you do great and you make a fantastic film, there's not that many buyers out there anymore. So there's a number of wonderful films that in another time would have been acquired for distribution. There's just not enough slots available to do that now. I think though you're already seeing from the middle, where are we, in the middle of 2010, a slow trend back to equity investors who are looking at the space again and saying, okay, could be interesting again. There's an opportunity here where distribution models are going to have to change, and they are, but that doesn't mean people don't still want to consume alternative, filmed entertainment.
How do your films make money these days?
Well, you can't open the paper without reading another story about how there's a decreasing appetite for DVD consumption. Yes, we're affected by how well our films sell on DVD. However, it's not as a direct a correlation as it is at the studios. Where that revenue seems to be tailing off some. There's a little bit of lag, but I think that will be taken up by the amount of revenue that would come from other digital applications, whether it's downloading it to your computer or downloading it to your phone. The sincere hope is that we'll make up that lost revenue based on these other platforms, so as a company, we study that very hard. What are people likely to want to buy for their phone, for instance, and how do you build content for that? We spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Can you make money with digital content?
We have a company called Jetpack Media that does digital content for the internet. We have a very successful series on now called OldJewsTellingJokes.com. All of a sudden, something I never would have thought would have been a viable project, OldJewsTellingJokes.com. What do you do with that 10 years ago? Thank God.
I've been trying to turn off since I was a kid.
That's right. Well, we need your parents on this.
Do you just get pitched film ideas all the time?
Pretty often. Usually at like Thanksgiving dinner and from some cousin. But pretty often. I don't mind it. I mean, I'm just always looking for a great story. So,
what advice would you give to an aspiring writer?
Create a script. I mean, what's interesting is, or not interesting, is the 100 ideas of I got the greatest movie in the world, and then I hear 2 or 3 lines. I'm like, that's not a movie. That's you kind of drinking a few beers and thinking 2 lines makes a movie. Try it. Try writing a full story, and then figure out whether you have a movie or not.
Okay, I got one more question for you. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, I got about. I'm actually over.
I just wrote this script. I was wondering if you might take a look at it.
Yes. Well done.